So sorry about that, just picking up where we left off then before I just got cut off there. Apologies, my laptop ran out of battery. So just to recap then where we've got up to. So going through obviously scaffolding in the moment and then scaffolding during those planning stages. So obviously thank you so much to your facilitator for bringing all of your thoughts together at this stage. So I guess now it's about wrapping this up and thinking about how we can actually put these into a CLP scaffolding toolkit. So what I'd like people to do now is we've got that list or the table that your facilitators have just gathered together for you with all the different ideas from your school. So we've got to ask ourselves the question now, what scaffolding techniques, both in the moment and pre-planned, actually work best in your area? So if you're sat together as a group of maths teachers, if you're sat together as a group of Key Stage 2 teachers, if you're sat together as a group of numeracy teachers, whatever it is that you teach or that you lead on, what is going to work best for your team? What are you going to focus on? Which things do you think have the highest impact on the students sat in front of you? Second of all, are there any centralised resources then that need creating off the back of this? So, for example, if your team have all said that from a pre-planning scaffolding point of view, it's all about structure strips, let's say, as an example. So you know that when they're sitting those 12 mark answers, let's say in history at GCSE, then the best thing to do is to give them that scaffolding, but from a pre-planned point of view, by giving them the structure strip, and obviously you can take it away then for students that you think don't need it. So is there anything that needs creating then that can then be used centrally across your team? Do lesson plans / slides / resources need updating now? If you're going to go with a particular in the moment scaffolding technique, even though it's in the moment, do you need to remind your teams by dropping in hints and sort of guides onto your slides? And lastly, is there any modelling that's needed from somebody in your team that feels quite confident with those techniques? So is it that you've got someone sat in your team that's really, really good at, I don't know, using retrieval-based questioning to offer scaffolded support to those students that struggle? So do you need to get that person to show the team how to do that? Or do you need to go and do that and look at that person in action in a learning walk or an observation or whatever your school do to share best practice? So they're the next steps. And what I've sent to your facilitators so that I can bring all of this together is they have a Word copy of this table, and I want them to gather all the thoughts from the last task and drop them into the table so I've got them all, because I would like to get to the stage where we can have a centralised toolkit that we know we can use. But I think the next steps in our teams are the ones that are on the screen, so we know what works for us and which techniques we're all going to focus on as a group and which techniques we're all going to help each other with as well. So I'm just going to wrap this up now, and I will leave the task on the screen for you before I go, but I will say I've dropped in a couple of articles of further reading into this presentation, which I've given to your facilitator as well. So this is the final task, guys. So I don't need to say pause me now because I am going to say goodbye. Thank you so much for listening, and I really hope this was a thought-provoking and hopefully interesting session. Thank you, everyone, and have a really good weekend.